Seraphina stood atop the golden spires of Elysium, her pristine wings shimmering under the ethereal light of the heavens. Below her, the clouds stretched endlessly, a glowing carpet beneath a kingdom untouched by mortal corruption. Yet an ache burned quietly in her chest, a whisper of longing she could not attribute to holiness nor grace. Tonight, the ache carried her to a perilous corner of creation, where light turned shadow and whispers beckoned from the void. Far below, in the infernal depths where fire licked the edges of the damned, Nyxander moved among the chaos with a devil's confidence. His leathery wings, black as night, stretched wide with a charisma that stole breaths amidst utter dread. He was an anomaly, a devil with a streak of compassion that bordered on blasphemy among his kin. His rebellions had not gone unnoticed in hell either, but tonight his attention was consumed by her, and it had been for some time. "You shouldn't be here, Angel," Nyxander purred as Seraphina descended, landing gracefully amidst cracked obsidian ground. His violet eyes smoldered with barely restrained defiance, drawing her gaze. He leaned casually against a jagged column, his shirt half unbuttoned, and his body carved like one sculpted by gods themselves, if not fallen far from their favor. Seraphina's wings rustled uneasily, as radiant as ever but trembling in his presence. "Nor should you have crossed the boundary last week into our sanctum," she replied squarely, though her voice softened with effort. "Your acts are becoming reckless, Nyxander." He chuckled low, sharp fangs visible when he smirked. "Reckless? You mean daring. It doesn't take much to see. Heaven isn't so heavenly these days. You angels pretend everything's divine, but I've seen your kind fall. I've seen longing spark behind your halos." Her heart skipped, a flutter she quickly tried to suppress. "Stay on your side of creation," she warned, stepping closer despite her words. "Or they'll chain you, Nyxander. They'll punish you as they did the others." "Let them try," he murmured, unmoving, though his magnetic gaze tracked her every step. "The stars fell before I did, Seraphina. The chains won't hold me, and neither will your warnings." Before she could reply, his presence overwhelmed her, as palpable as flame itself. She shuddered, her lips parting, though no words escaped. And Nyxander, in that moment, knew he had claimed a fragment of her devotion, not with fear, but raw, consuming want that lay dormant beneath celestial propriety. "Why are you here, Seraphina?" he asked suddenly, his voice dipping into intimacy that softened even his devilish cockiness. She looked stunned for a heartbeat, swallowing back quiet guilt before answering with restraint. "Because I have doubts," she admitted. "Because something about this, about you, makes me question the meaning behind everything we've sworn to uphold. And I hate it." Nyxander straightened at her confession, but didn't smirk, at least not cruelly. Instead, he stepped closer. His boots crushed seared ash underfoot, the contrast startling, leather against pristine white robes. "There," he whispered, his voice deliciously smoky. "I just proved their lies. Heaven commands perfection at the cost of questioning. Hell stirs rebellion when truth sears their control." "Do not tempt me further," she replied weakly, but her defenses unraveled as his thumb brushed the curve of her jaw. His touch ignited a wildfire in her that couldn't be ignored, her skin hot, her blood quickening. He leaned dangerously close, his lips almost brushing hers, his claws grazing the folds of her robes. "You're already tempted, darling," he said softly. "Question is, what will you do with temptation itself?" Before her better judgment could emerge, his lips crashed into hers, stealing breath and drowning restraint. Heat surged through her pure veins as they clashed, a kiss that shouldn't exist, a collision of worlds denied by creation itself. But neither angel nor devil cared tonight. It consumed them. His teeth grazed her lip, drawing sharp tingles as her hands hesitated only briefly before tangling in the black strands of his hair. Their bodies pressed together, his firm, sinful warmth encasing her trembling purity. His one claw hooked beneath the delicate fabric clinging to her shoulder, an unspoken question that she answered not in words but in panting consent. Her wings seemed powerless to pull her away. Instead, they folded gently around him, hiding their entwined forms amidst enshrouding darkness. His lips trailed down her throat, slower now, tasting her with wicked precision. Seraphina gasped softly, her body betraying the angelic resolve she swore she had left. Every stolen breath, every stroke of his touch reminded her how far she had fallen, and yet how liberated she felt for the first time. Tell me you hate this, Nixander teased between kisses against her collarbone. Tell me you wouldn't trade perfection for this fire burning beneath your robes. She shivered, her wings quivering under his taunt. Her fingers traced the sharp line of his jawline now, unsteady and desperate to explore the edges of his infernal allure. His claws curled further into the fabric at her waist, and with one deft move, it pooled on the ground, revealing alabaster skin that seemed too pure for hell's backdrop. So righteous angels fall beautifully, Nixander murmured, his voice dripping molten honey. Then he lifted her against him, her legs wrapping around his firm torso as his lips reclaimed hers, this time hungrier and darker. Her breath drew sharp as his teeth and tongue worked their way across the sensitive skin of her chest. Forbidden embers surged and crackled between them, no room left for holy hesitation. He pressed her against the cold obsidian, shifting them into rhythmic madness that her own hips began craving and matching. His lips, teeth, claws, they all carried forbidden truths, exposing every ounce of purity within her until resistance crumbled into carnal collapse. Seraphina's fingers clawed his back, seeking solace she couldn't longer veil, each movement deeper into chaotic temptation. Hours blurred as tangled limbs and mutual cries filled the air. Their sinful communion reached a crescendo before descending again into breathing stillness. And as Nixander collapsed beside the angel he had corrupted or liberated, neither immediately spoke through the haze. But doubt wasn't gone. Seraphina's gaze lingered somewhere unfixed, staring upward at skies she could hardly picture anymore. Nixander's wing brushed hers without hesitation or boundaries anymore, as his fingers twined into loose strands of her gold hair. You're wondering what they'll say tomorrow, aren't you? Nixander's voice playfully nudged her quiet conflict. She nodded but didn't speak. I can damn your heaven piece by piece, angel, he whispered after trailing fingers up her collarbone. Yet somehow, I think your rebellion will damn yourself wonderfully before I need try. She didn't answer, not because Nixander was wholly wrong, but because light flickered across forbidden shadows altogether.